Hello kids, today you're going to learn how to derive involving division. Okay. Kasi sa last two videos ko, I showed you how to derive equations where this includes addition or subtraction, such as for example 3 plus 7 equals 8. Meron ding sorry. I meant x plus 7 equals 8. Meron din mga x minus 4 equals 9. So this basically involves addition and subtraction. Nagde-derive tayo solving for x. Meron naman that you solve involving multiplication, such as the relationship between 3 and x is multiplication. So, di ba? You already know how to solve for x given this kind of equations. Ngayon naman, you're going to learn where division is involved. Okay, so sa division kasi, mostly, fraction form yan pagdating natin sa higher mathematics. In other words, wala kayong makikita rarely kayong makakita. Such as, for example, x divided by 3 equals, let's say, 15. Rare kayo makakita ng mga ganitong equation. Rather, this will be written as x over 3 equals 15. Okay. So, if mapapansin niyo, deriving process natin is involving division. And in this case, it forms like a fraction. And the process called here, kung sa addition and subtraction, it is called the elimination or the transposition. Pagdating sa multiplication, it is cancellation. Pagdating ngayon sa division, it is called cross multiplication. Okay, hindi nag-cash siya. Again, sa division, it's called cross multiplication. Okay. Usually, sa division process, sa cross multiplication, after you divide, usually what follows is, after doing the cross multiplication process, what follows is the cancellation. Okay. Usually. Kasi usually, meron naman wala. After cross multiplication, simplify lang din, wala na. In other words, after division, you have multiplication na, which is, that leads you to cancellation process from division, which is cross multiplication. So, explain ko na lang sa inyo kung ano yung ibig kong sabihin. For example, if x is alone, such as x over 7 equals 5, anong nangyayari ngayon dito is that you need to balance the equation by simply making this part of the equation fraction din. Okay. So, di ba, before sinasabi ko na sa inyo that every whole number has an invisible denominator of 1. Lahat ng whole numbers na yan. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, x over 7 is now rewritten as 5 over 1. This equation can now be rewritten as 5 over 1 na. So, from here, pwede na tayo mag-cross multiply. So, ano yung cross multiply na yan? So, let's start with 1 times x. 1 times x is basically 1x. Pero since like what I've said before, 1x should just be written as x alone. Then next is 7 times 5. Cross multiplication tayo. 7 times 5 will now give us 35. So in this case, wala nang other operations involved. Diretso na tayo kasi x is just alone. Wala kasi coefficient si x. Wala siyang mga 2, 3, 4, and whatsoever. Then again, just to show you the process, no? Meron tayong x over 4 equals, let's say, 5. Okay. So, kung mapapansin nyo again, x is alone. Wala siyang, may over 4 siya, pero what I mean is, walang coefficient si x. Wala siyang 3x, walang 2x, walang 5x. Wala siyang coefficient. Alone lang siya. So, then again, in this process, madali itong pinaka-simple sa lahat. Kasi nga, all you need to do is just to rewrite the equation in which you need to balance out by making this whole number into a fraction. So that's x over 4 equals to 5 over 1. So proceed with cross multiplication. 1 times x will give you x, and 4 times 5 will give you 20. Okay. So, ganun lang kadali yung cross multiplication process. Ngayon, what if magkakaroon tayo ng coefficient? What if we will have a coefficient such as 2x equals, let's say, 3, 2x over 3 rather, equals, let's say, 6. Okay. So, same lang. Same lang talaga. Ibabalance out natin, which means that this whole number should be turned into a fraction form. And rewriting it, we now have 2x over 3 equals 6 over 1. Okay, then again, to proceed with the cross multiplication process, 1, 2, 2x times 1 will now give you 2x alone. And 3 times 6 will give you 18. Now, what do you see? Anong napapansin nyo ngayon sa equation that we have now? This is now familiar with the deriving process where the situation involves multiplication, di ba? So, ito nga, 2 and x, 2x. So, alam nyo na yan. Yan na yung ginawa nyo last week. So, in this case, all you need to do is just to do the process of cancellation. Alam nyo na to. What you're learning now, you will be using this for the next few years. Okay? Kasi nga, other schools don't teach you. Hindi kayo tinuturuan ng deriving process. No, walang detail. Hindi detailed ang explanation. So, you can just come back dito sa mga videos ko just in case you need clarification in the future. So, anyway, cancellation, you want to leave x alone. So, ika-cancel natin ang 2. And what you do in one side of the equation, you do it on the other side of the equation, which now leaves you with x equals 18 over 2. And 18 over 2 means 18 divided by 2, which now leaves us with x equals 9. Okay? So, then again, you just need to be familiar kasi after doing the cross multiplication, you will either encounter cancellation, paminsan meron ding tayong mga transposition din. Okay? It actually depends on the situation that you are in. Okay, so try natin another example such as, let's say, 3x over 5 equals, let's say, ano ba? Let's say 6. Okay. Then again, rewriting the equation, we have 3x over 5 kasi nga you need to balance this out since what is left here on the other side of the equation is just a whole number. So, kailangan natin siya i-express into a fraction form, which is now 6 over 1, para klaro lang. Then, proceed with cross multiplication. Again, advice ko lang sa inyo, since you are beginners, always leave x at this side of the equation. Okay? Dito talaga parati. Kasi para hindi kayo maguluhan. Kasi what if x is here on the other side, you might not be able to, parehas lang talaga siya technically. It's just that you might get confused because it is on the other side of the equation. Okay. So, 3x times 1 is 3x and 5 times 6 will give you 30. Then again, may kasama si x dito which is yung coefficient 3. You want to remove 3 by simply cancelling it, and what you do in one side of the equation, do it on the other side of the equation, which now leaves you with x equals 30 over 3, which will now give you the answer of 10. Okay. So, other examples that you might encounter, such as, let's say, for example, 4x equals, ano ba? Let's say 32 over 2. Okay. Actually, in this case, pwede nyo naman talaga to gawing, i-simplify nyo na kaagad ito dito. You can basically just simplify 32 over 2 right away, such as in this case will give you 16. But just to practice the process of cross multiplication, kasi there will be situations in the future, especially when you reach high school, that this number will not give you a whole number. This operation, yung fraction, will not give you a whole number. So, ang mangyayari dito ngayon, let's just stick with the process of cross multiplication. Okay? So, ngayon naman kung mapapansin nyo, ang 4x naman ngayon ang walang denominator. So which means in this case, you need to rewrite it such that 4x should have a denominator of 1, and rewriting it 32 over 2. Then from here, you can now proceed with cross multiplication. 2 times 4x and 1 times 2. So ngayon, both, no? Okay. 2 times 4x will give you 8x, and 1 times 32 will still give you 32. So then again, familiar situation, all you need to do is just to cancel, in which x will now give you 32 divided by 8 is equivalent to 4. Ngayon, you might ask me, Teacher Mark, what if both sides my denominator? Okay, what if both sides my denominator? Such as, let's say, for example, x over 2 equals such as 10 over, let's say, 5. Okay, so anyway, process lang naman yung hinahanap natin dito. Again, you can basically simplify 10 over 5, but I don't want you to do that kasi nga gusto ko gamitin nyo yung cross multiplication process, because in the future nga, it will not always give you a whole number once you divide this given fraction. Okay, so anyway, proceeding with cross multiplication process, 5 times x and 2 times 10. Okay, 5 times x will give you 5x, and 2 times 10 will give you 20. Then from here, ganun lang. Sorry. What you do in one side, do it on the other side of the equation, which will now give you 20 divided by 5, which is equivalent to 4. X equals 4. Okay. You might also encounter situations such that, example lang, meron tayong, let's say, let me write muna ha, para hindi waste of time. Okay, mga medyo komplikadong situation now, which will include all three, no? It will now include all three situations, conditions, such as may addition, subtraction na, may multiplication, meron ding division. Okay, so this is what you're going to do. If you're going to encounter this, again, 2x over 3 is in fraction form. Ito lang yung fraction form. Kasi there will be situations as well that you will encounter 2x plus 7 over 3. Okay, then equals 9. Which is, this is a different equation. Iba talagang answer niyan. This is a different answer compared to this one over here. So, okay, we have 2x over 3 plus 7 equals 9. So, first things first, once you encounter these situations, first na kailangan nyo munang gawin is to transpose. Okay? Dito muna tayo. Let me just erase this part. Okay. First things first is to transpose. Okay, if all three elements are present, all you need to do first is to transpose. So, ano yung dito transpose natin? Of course, yung positive 7 to the other side of the equation. Rewriting this will now give you 2x over 3 equals 9 and 7. Ngayon, Teacher Mark, what's the sign? Of course, that's why I don't write the sign muna kasi para mapag-isipan nyo. Since on this side of the equation, it is positive, pagdating sa kabila, we take the opposite of it, which is in this case, will now become negative. Okay, then from there, i-simplify nyo muna. Simplify, big sabihin, gawin nyo muna yung mga visible operations, such as 9 minus 7 is equivalent to 2. Okay, then from there, once you're done transposing, second thing that you need to do now is to cross multiply. Okay, parang in other words, you do the positive, negative first, adding and subtracting first, then the division process, and of course, lastly, the cancellation, which of course involves the multiplication. Erase ko lang yung arrow, blue arrow. Okay, there. So then again, after the transposition, you now deal with cross multiplication. So we now need to just cross multiply this, what we have learned earlier, such as rewriting it, kasi nga you need to balance out, making this whole number here fraction form. So cross multiply nyo na ngayon, 1 times 2x and 3 times 2. So 2x times 1 is just, of course, 2x, and 3 times 2 will now give you 6. Okay. So, anong gagawin nyo ngayon dito? Siyempre, you already know. Divide. What you do in one side, do it on the other side of the equation, which now leaves us with x is equivalent to 3. Okay? So, ganun lang kadali. Now, I'm going to give you one more example, a different example. Kasi ito again remember, all three are present in this case. Lahat ng tatlong processes, nandyan. Okay. Ngayon, there's one number there na binigay ko na medyo komplikado. A little complicated, but not that complicated. So, I'm going to show it I'm going to show you how to solve it, okay? Okay, so if you can see, we now have 4x over 2 plus 4 equals x plus 9. So, kung mapapansin nyo ngayon, the only thing that is confusing here is that both sides have the variable, which is in this case is x. Okay. Actually tinuruan ko naman yan kayo last week. So, anyway, i-apply lang natin ngayon how we are going to solve it once we include all three operations, such as may addition, subtraction tayo. Meron din tayong multiplication. Meron din tayong division. So, in other words, you need to do the transposition. Ano yung process kanina again? First is to transpose, second is to cross multiply, then third is to cancel. Okay. So, first things first is to transpose yung mga addition, subtraction factors natin, which is in this case is positive 4. You're going to transfer it to the other side of the equation. So, ganun muna ang gagawin natin, okay? So, we now have, rewriting it, we have 4x over 2 equals x plus 9 and 4. So, if you notice, positive tayo dito, which means pagdating sa kabila, it will now become negative. So, rewriting further, we have 4x over 2 equals x plus, what is 9 minus 4? It is 5. Okay. So, ngayon, Teacher Mark, how are we going to do this? Ngayon, okay. So, x and 5, you can write them as 1. I mean, in that case nga, x, just x plus 5, open close parenthesis. Then, you want to put a denominator of 1 nga sa kanila. So, that's x plus 5 over 1. Okay, so ganun lang yan. Then from here, proceed to cross multiplication tayo. In which if you're going to rewrite this, you now have 4 times 1, which will just give you 4x. And dito naman sa kabila ngayon, will become a distributive property, which is in this case, we take 2, and open close parenthesis nyo, ito, x plus 5. Okay, actually, tinuruan ko na rin kayo nito, first quarter natin, distributive property natin, in which you're going to distribute the value of 2 to the values inside. Okay, so paano natin gagawin to? You now have 4x. Teacher Mark, it's confusing. Wait lang, makinig muna. Before you talk, listen and try to understand muna. Okay, so one by one, you have 2 times x will give you 2x. Then next, you have 2 times 5, which will give you 10. Okay, so yan na yan. This is now your equation. All you need to do now is just to transpose this to the other side of the equation, which will now leave you with 4x and 2x equals 10. Kasi 10 ang naiwan dito sa kabila. Diba? Positive 10. So, Teacher Mark, anong magiging sign ngayon ng 2x? Again, 2x, wala siyang sign. In other words, understood that it is automatically positive. So, pag positive siya in this side of the equation, pagdating niya sa kabila, it's obviously negative. So, you are now left with 4x minus 2x. So, what's 4x minus 2x? If you have 4x and you remove 2x, you are now left with just 2x alone. Equals 10. Then, if you see, familiar na naman yung situation. Cancellation process. You want to leave x alone in one side of the equation. Cancel. X is now equivalent to 5. Okay. So, ganun lang. This is the complicated part, but if you'll get confused with this, kindly rewatch lang ulit. Panoorin nyo lang ulit. No problem ito. Just watch this part. Just follow the process kasi hindi ko yung binibigay kong example sa inyo is according to this example that I'm giving you. What I meant is yung binibigay ko sa inyo diyan sa quiz ninyo, yun din yung nandito. Okay? So that's basically it for today.